Line of your take on the summit?
Well, the summit, I think it went very well. I think we're ready to discuss the very serious issues. Firstly, the economic issues that were discussed before the opening, as we always do, under the NEPAD, including the issue of the fourth industrial revolution that the globe is talking about, where Africa is, that Africa can no longer be left behind. And also received the report about the infrastructure, which has gone very far, and agreed that we will also organize an investment conference in the continent to top up what is happening at the infrastructure level. And the infrastructure is taking place throughout the continent. We were very happy with the progress that has been made at that level. Also, the issue of subcommittees of peace and security, we met, discussed a number of issues which were reported to the summit, discussed the issues in Burundi, South Sudan, Libya in particular, and very good resolutions were taken in those levels. In Libya, for an example, the summit agreed that we should revive the high-level ad hoc committee of the heads of states who must help lead the process, and appointed the former president of Tanzania, Kikwete, as the envoy of the AU who will work with that committee so that we could deal with the issue of the agreement that has been reached by two groups, whilst other groups were outside, to try to bring them together so that we form one government that will be national government, because they all now agree that they need unity, they need to be together. In Burundi, there will be a delegation that will be going to Burundi as well to discuss with the Burundi government the issue of the deployment of some forces and to explain what is it. But it's not to interfere with the sovereignty of the state, but it's to help disarm militia, help collect illegal firearms, but also to watch the borders that they are worried about. So there were specific resolutions that were taken. And of course, there was a report on the climate change, because Africa, as Africa, were very united as we were going to Paris, led by the Egyptian president, El-Sisi, but also felt that the unity of the 77 plus China helped a great deal, that we were able to have very meaningful outcomes in Paris, and said we're going to move further to ensure that those are implemented. We also had discussions about a number of issues, including the question of the continent standby force, which was discussed. There will be an assessment very soon in Mozambique to assess where we are with that one, partly because the issue of the international terrorism is a major problem. Africa ought to be ready to deal with that issue as the African continent. We also, of course, as you know, had President Mugabe doing his final speech, because his time had come to an end, and having the president of Chad, Idris Deby, taking over, who has already shown his colors on the first day. It's not very common that the AU finishes so early, because the manner in which he was conducting the meeting was quite innovative. We're able to finish on time. We are all happy that the substance was discussed very specifically, and that the summit was absolutely a success. Of course, there was also the giving of the awards of countries that have fought the malaria scourge, and among those countries, South Africa was part of them, those who might have reached more than 75% in doing so. Also, it indicated the manner in which we are handling the matters. There were also discussions about the success of Africa when it was attacked by Ebola, that now Ebola has been eradicated, of course with the support of the international community, but Africa also stood up and were together on that one in terms of the overall kind of performance of the summit. We are very happy, all of us, we leave Addis Ababa very happy.
Mr. President, the outgoing chair of the AU in his speech mentioned the issue of the UN not willing to reform. But in his speech, Ban Ki-moon says African countries or some member states are presenting different ideas and they're not speaking in one voice. And as a result, this might delay the realization of the reforms. Your take on that?
Africa is speaking in one voice. What President Mugabe referred to as the Zuluini consensus, that is the position of Africa, very clear. I think the blame cannot be put on the African countries. It is actually at the door of the permanent members of the Security Council. We have raised the issue very repeatedly, very clear.